Hey, Price is Right fans, this is Mr. Horgan here. As most of you probably know, today's episode of The Price is Right got preempted due to President Obama's news conference. So, unfortunately, those who live in the East Coast, like myself, and people in Central Standard Time, were not able to watch TPIR because that news conference went right through the whole hour of The Price is Right. It started at the tail end of the quickie deals from Let's Make a Deal. However, those who were on the West Coast watched a rerun of The Price is Right that was back from September 28th. So the episode that was scheduled to air today will be aired at a later date, as I found that out from YOCM's channel and the Price is Right page off of Facebook. So, I know most of you are probably still disappointed that they missed out on Price is Right. I actually was looking forward on watching the episode online on CBS.com, but I gotta give a big thank you to NeoRocks87 for informing me that the episode being aired today was a rerun. So, who knows when the February 15th, 2011 episode that would have been for today will air. We'll just find out in due time. But I really hope that Price is Right never gets preempted again because of a special report from the President. No offense to President Obama, I respect him for the position he holds, and for, like, what's happening in Egypt. That really ticked me off last Friday when it got preempted for half an hour. Michael Cole, as much as I hate you as a commentator these days, what is your take on Price is Right being preempted so much? It is a crime. I have to agree with you there. So, I'm going to take this time to give my thoughts on the guest announcers from Season 39 that have been rotating for the past 5 months we've been in the season. First off, J.D. Roberto. He's got a great personality. I think he has a pretty good voice for being an announcer. I say he does the job very professionally. He looks like a professional announcer. I like the respect he gives when Drew says hello to him. He goes, "Morning, boss." That's really like a good guy being devoted and being loyal to a job at The Price is Right. What else I like about JD is he does like to commentate on the pricing games being played. Sometimes he'll call the action to see what's going down. Like he'll like cheer for the contestant. And let's see, like for one time he was saying bullseye when the contestant hit the $10 to $12 bullseye. So he likes to participate in pricing games. And he has some humor as well. Like when this elderly contestant was coming on down from the Season 39 premiere, JD was commentating on saying, "And as we approach Season 39, so I really don't see him, though, as like an improvisational comedian. To me, he looks like a younger Rich Fields, and I say he has a pretty good chance of becoming the next permanent announcer for The Price is Right. Next up, Jeff Davis. Well, just like JD, he has a great personality. I like when Jeff does his little sign-off like this. That is so cool. I love how he does that. But personally, I really am not a big fan of how he announces. I think he's a little flat, and I don't think he really has the enthusiasm in the voice that he has. However, I do like his comedy with one bit. One time he was sleeping inside a little kid's bed that was being displayed for an item up for bids, and Gwendolyn was waking him up. Another funny one-bit moment I liked with Jeff was when he was inside a steam shower and he was telling Gwendolyn, "I'll be out in 5." I also like how he is part of the prize packages that are being played for in pricing. One time he was dancing with Gwendolyn to promote dance lessons and a jukebox, if I'm not mistaken. And he was also inside a hot tub with Amber to model a prize package at another point from his run as announcer on The Price is Right. So, again, he may have funny characteristics, but I don't really see him as an announcer for The Price is Right. I don't think it'll be him. Next up, Brad Sherwood. When I first heard Brad Sherwood announce, I thought he did it like a true professional. I mean, I just loved how he went, "Here it comes from the Bob Barker Studios at CBS in Hollywood. It's The Price is Right." He sounds like Harry Shearer from The Simpsons, in my opinion. I found him the most known to me, most popular with when he, JD, and Jeff were announced as the guest announcers from season 39. So I was pulling for him to be the permanent announcer. Well, let's see what else I like about Brad. Well, I say he has a good personality, of course, but I really don't see why people don't like his announcing. I mean, maybe they think he's like trying to knock off other announcers, like my friend Jack Platt says he knocks off Don Pardo. Well, to me, Brad did like a pretty good job as announcer. Maybe he did have a few corny jokes here and there with Drew, but I really think he's got a good chance to be the next announcer for The Price is Right. But who knows? Next up, David H. Lawrence, the 17th. Good guy. He looks like a professional when he announces. He's got 35 years of expertise in television and radio. He's got his own radio show, I know. So that might be a key for him to become the next announcer for The Price is Right. The way he says, "Come on down," they're pretty good. I think he does bring a little more enthusiasm when he says, "A new car!" Like one time before Gas Money was played, he said, "A new car!" with enthusiasm. So I think he really might have a very good chance to be the guest announcer. Well, not the permanent announcer. I think maybe the best of the guest announcers for The Price is Right. So David H. Lawrence, the 17th. I think he's done a good job announcing. Next up, George Gray. I gotta say, when I first heard George Gray announce, I thought, bam, that's the one. He's definitely going to be the next announcer for The Price is Right. And you know something? He has game show expertise. Not only was he the host of the syndicated version of The Weakest Link, but back in 1998, he was the host of Extreme Gong, which was a revival of The Gong Show that aired on Game Show Network. Of course, that was what it was known back then, but now it's known as GSN. And so I gotta say, George really has a lot of potential. He brings the true definition of comedian into play, because that's what Mike Richards is looking for. An announcer with improvisational comedy. And excellent personality, like I mentioned before. Great voice. Love how he announces. Especially how he says Drew Carey's name in the beginning of the show. He goes, "Drew Carey!" And he's very positive on his response when Drew says hello, and he goes like, "Hey everybody, hey Drew!" So he's really got my vote as being the permanent announcer of The Price is Right. But I'm going to give my rankings after this, before this upload ends. Last but not least, Steve White. He started last Monday, and he really was very, serious. I mean, I don't really see him as, a comedian at all. When I first saw his picture on PricesRight.com, I figured he was like a sportscaster or something that he was well known as. But I never knew he was in films such as Coming to America and Do the Right Thing. Last Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, he was okay on his announcing. On his debut day, he did say Drew Carey's name pretty good. He went like, Drew Carey! But his enthusiasm really built up last Thursday, so he did bring it up a little on his announcing voice. And in my opinion, he does sound a little bit like Burton Richardson, because I kind of detect the way how Steve announces. It's kind of like Burton Richardson saying Arsenio Hall's name back in the day when Arsenio Hall had his own late-night talk show. Burton would announce Arsenio's name like this: Arsenio Hall! So I think Steve White is like the Burton Richardson of current announcing. So, this is how I would rank the guest announcers from most favorite to least favorite. Well, most favorite, I would have to give the nod to George Gray. Second favorite, I would give it to Brad Sherwood. Third favorite, I would put J.D. Roberto. Fourth favorite, I would have to go with, I'm going to say Steve White. Fifth, I would rank David H. Lawrence the 17th. And last but not least, Jeff Davis. So, as Governor Mike Huckabee would say, that's my view, and I welcome yours. So you can feel free to comment on my video on how would you rank your favorite guest announcers from The Price is Right. Or you can even upload your own video giving out your opinions on the guest announcers. I know my friend Neil Rocks 87 will probably do something like that, because he and I are like the biggest Price is Right video fans on uploading. Well, he is a big follower of my pricing and recaps. And I have to thank him for letting me know about today's preemption, that the West Coast had a rerun of The Price is Right. So, gotta hand it to him on that. So, once again, the ranking of the guest announcers that are my favorite to least favorite: George Gray, Brad Sherwood, J.D. Roberto, Steve White, David H. Lawrence 17th, and Jeff Davis. Once again, George Gray I rank first, Brad Sherwood second, J.D. Roberto third, Steve White fourth, David H. Lawrence 17th fifth, and sixth, Jeff Davis. Well, I'll definitely be back to business tomorrow for the Price is Right pricing game recap. So, until then, this is Mr. Horgan saying good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.